A very good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to all of you to our session today. Today, we will be talking about a very important topic, and it is something that is being talked about a lot these days. It's about emotional intelligence at work. Everyone has emotions. We all come in with a variety of feelings every single day. But today, the organizations are paying a lot of emphasis on encouraging people to remain their authentic self. That is, they want people to bring their emotions to work in an honest, in a transparent, and in a credible way. However, it's very important that we manage our emotions. We are operating in a world which is highly interconnected. We are operating in a world which is complex, it's volatile, it's dynamic. And thus, our feelings or our emotions can actually come in the way of our success. It can come in the way of our effectiveness, our communication, and even our reputation. Especially, my dear students, when it comes to the digital world. In the digital world, we are not necessarily meeting with each other face to face. And thus it is difficult for people to get to know us. And how we carry ourselves in this world, the VUCA world as we call it, is becoming all the more critical. So in our workshop today, I'm going to be talking about practices that you can employ in the world of work, especially in situations which are emotional or which can, help you succeed in a charged, stressful scenario. And I'm going to be bringing in some scenarios so that we can discuss them. We'll almost do our role playing. Any questions at this stage? Feel free to interrupt me, my dear students. I think many of you know me already. I'm a teaching faculty at Murdoch. I'm also employability coach, so I've met most of you all. My name is Usma Shaheen, as you know, and it is really my pleasure to be able to talk to all of you and hopefully help you understand how best to conduct yourself and how best to manage your emotions in the world of work, because it is really vital for your success. So let's look at the agenda first. Can you all hear me well? I hope my volume is fine. If not, please do let me know. So we are going to talk about what is emotional intelligence. What does this term mean? Then we are going to dive deep into tips for leveraging emotional intelligence at work. We are going to talk about it in the context of netiquettes, which are really your etiquettes while using the internet. And I'm going to be focusing on emails. How do you carry yourself when you're communicating via emails? How do you express your emotions when you're actually communicating via the email media? The second thing that we focus on is how do you set healthy boundaries through emotional intelligence at work? Again, something very important for our success today. And then how do you conduct yourself? Whether it is in a team setting, whether you're operating in a group, or you are in day-to-day meetings, or the usual interactions that you have at work. How is it that you are conducting yourself in a way that people can see you as a valuable resource for the organization? And finally, I'm going to be touching upon conflict management and how emotional intelligence can really help us resolve conflicts, either within our team, it could be with your supervisor, it could be your fellow colleague, it could be anybody within the organization or outside. Conflict management is a critical part of being successful. And emotional intelligence helps us in a great way. So, my dear students, let me start off with a scenario. There are 3 scenarios I've included in our session today so that, hopefully by the end of this session, you're able to walk away with concrete, practical tips that will help you really figure out how to conduct yourself in a situation like that in the world of work. Whether you're doing an internship or you're doing a part-time work or it's full-time employment, you are going to interact with people who are difficult. You are going to interact with others in situations which are complex, and you really need to use your intelligence. You really need to be aware of your emotions and emotions of others in order to succeed. So the first scenario, my dear students, is as follows. You're working as an intern in a well-reputed organization. Your immediate manager, his name is Bob, is a good guy in general, but he can sometimes be a bit insecure. And what does that mean? That means that he sometimes limits your interactions with people outside of your team. He can sometimes take your work and present it as his. And a lot of managers do that often in the spirit of teamwork. And sometimes it's okay as well. But you need to be aware of people who are constantly doing that. And finally, he can sometimes give you incomplete information so as to maintain the upper hand on you or his sense of supremacy. So it's really a question to all of you. How will you handle him? And there's no right and wrong answer. But I really want you to think about it and let me know. If you have a boss like that, what would you do? Shulamite, would you want to make a guess?
Okay, I was just thinking, I wouldn't want to get in a clash with him because ultimately he would be giving a review on me. So he'll be giving appraisals to his superiors where I would never have access to. So I think in that scenario, I would rather let him take ownership of my work just so that we can maintain a relationship in the work. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and that is a fantastic approach. And you've really touched on some very important things that I would like to touch on as well. So as Shulamite identified, your immediate manager is very important. So you have to really try your very best to develop a harmonious, gracious, and honest relationship with your manager. But at the same time, you do want to maintain healthy boundaries and continue to focus on your contribution, your learning, and your work. So, it's a fine balance that you want to strike. You don't want to give everything to your manager because he's so critical, right? And you know that you are there in order for you to grow, and you want people to know your worth. You want to establish a good reputation. So you need to do something by which you give a bit to your manager and you keep some for yourself as well. And I'll touch on this a bit more. At the end of the day, it is your work that is going to carry your legacy. So it's very important to have good skill set. It's very important to continue to focus on your work, even if your manager is giving you a hard time. Sometimes very good people can also give a hard time. I must tell you that 80% of the people in the organization are good people. It's really the 20% that you have to deal with. But you never know who your first boss is. Your first boss could be one out of the 80%, or could be part of the 20%, right? So continue to focus on your work. Make sure that people can see the worth or the value you bring to the table, and that you continue to interact with others in a way that presents yourself in the most effective and pleasant way. So if I were in your place, there are two ways I would address it. One way is that, I can talk to my manager quite directly and basically say that, to your manager, to Bob, that I'm looking for opportunities to gain a deeper understanding of the enterprise. I'm really trying to make my presence felt. It is important that my work has my name on it and that I have the reputation of being a solid performer. So, you can gently touch on that and say, I'd really like this document to have my name on it. Is it possible if you can add it as somebody who prepared it and you are the one who reviewed it and finalized it? That's one way. And the other way is that you do it more subtly and you take baby steps in such a way that he does not mind it. So gradually, you're increasing your interaction with others. Gradually, you're speaking up in the meeting so people know the kind of value you bring. And, you deliberately sit a bit far from Bob so that you don't get too influenced by him. But you utilize every interaction with others so that you're making an impactful contribution. So, you do want to keep a very good relationship with your boss, but at the same time, you don't want to just give up everything and, depend on him to give a good review. Sometimes that particular boss who's trying to, take advantage of you would, at the end of the day, not give a good review as well, because that person is a bit insecure. So you position yourself in a way that when he or she does not give a good review, there will be other people in the room who would say, no, I know this person is doing a great job. I know I've seen her perform very well, right? So you keep your radar abroad and you're not just dependent on one person who's giving a good review. Yeah. So let's keep that thought in mind and let's dive into what is emotional intelligence. And I really want to ask everybody, what do you think emotions are? Give me an example of maybe the emotion that you may be feeling right now. So what emotion are you feeling currently? Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you're feeling happy, or maybe you're feeling, stressed, or you're frustrated. All of those emotions, my dear students, remember that there are 7 primary human emotions that we operate with. So there may be thousands of emotions that we experience, but all those thousands of emotions actually fit into these 7 categories: love, joy, hope, sadness, anger, feeling of envy, and fear. And these 7 emotions can be managed through 5 skills. And we're going to touch on them as we discuss. The first one is awareness about yourself. This is really a foundation to emotional intelligence. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your areas of development. And keep your strengths in mind all the time, right? And once you're aware of your strengths, once you're aware of your emotions, you are actually much more regulated. You can manage your emotions much more when you're aware of them, right? And keep your motivation high. Motivation is a key thing. This is that drive that allows us to overcome impediments. It's the drive that allows us to achieve goals, right? The joy that comes from having to strive for things. The empathy, which is really being in the shoes of others, being able to relate to how others may be feeling in a particular situation. That's really part of being emotionally intelligent. Individuals who are empathetic are often very intelligent when it comes to emotionality, right? They're known to be literate, emotionally literate, because they can relate to how others are feeling. And thus, they can relate to their own emotions very well as well. And finally, your social skills, your ability to interact with others, your ability to work within a team, your ability to be able to socialize both on a professional front and on a personal front. That's why, my dear students, you have to take the opportunity to interact with people. When you see somebody in the office, for example, go ahead and greet them, talk to them, continue to hone your social skills. When you're in the library, if you see your friend, go and meet with them, meet with him or her, go and greet. This will enable you to become more socially aware. Again, something that's critical for your emotional intelligence, right? So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is our ability to identify, understand, and manage emotions, right? And the first step in building emotional intelligence is to cultivate self-awareness. That is really developing knowledge about your own emotions, understanding how you feel, understanding what kind of a person you are, what are your strengths, what are your areas of development. There's a saying that people always said, know thyself, get to know yourself just as you know others, spend time and ponder about who you are, right? And how do you interact in difficult situations? Thank you, Amar, for mentioning about your feeling overwhelmed with work, but happy to take on. Keep communicating with each other on chat. I will check it every now and then so that I'm interacting with you as well. So, my dear students, emotional intelligence is really about knowing yourself and knowing others so that you can manage yourself and you're able to manage others as well, right? And research has shown that people who have high emotional intelligence, they have the ability to make better decisions. People who are high on emotional intelligence can build and sustain collaborative relationships. These are people who deal much better with stressful situations. These are people who can develop their personal confidence. And these are individuals who cope very well with change, right? So personal confidence, my dear, I just want you to know that it's very, very critical in life, whether you're feeling good about yourself, you feel you're looking good or you're not looking good, whether you're well prepared or you're not well prepared for an interview, whether you're happy or you're not happy, irrespective of the situation that you may be in. Develop the habit of feeling confident in your own skin, right? They say, faith it until you make it. Have the faith in yourself until that faith is deep in you. It is deeply ingrained. So your personal confidence, my dear students, is very, very important. If there's one thing that you can take away from this session, that's going to be, how do you continue to maintain your personal confidence in spite of all the difficulties, in spite of all the impediments that you may be facing today? So please take away that with you. It's so critical in the world of work, because if you don't have confidence in yourself, my dear students, your brain is hijacked. You don't know how much is saved in your brain. It's just that we become so conscious of what we don't know that we end up forgetting what we know, right? And the moment you have confidence in yourself, you have the ability to think through, you have the ability to apply common sense, which is more than enough generally. Yeah. So let's focus on our key tips for leveraging emotional intelligence at work. The first one, so there are 4 tips that we're going to be talking about. The first one, my dear students, is called as netiquettes. So netiquettes is how do we communicate and interact with each other via the internet, the etiquettes that you have when you're using the internet. And one of the things in the world of work you use most is communication via emails. So I want to spend a little bit of time my dear students, to talk about how you write emails. And I've noticed in my, when I was teaching, I noticed students will send me emails, and some of the students would actually send me emails without a subject line. So I don't know what this email is all about. When I open the email, it says, "Hello, Miss. Please tell me about my grade." And then the name Joe. So I don't know when you talk, I don't know what your tone is. Are you frustrated that you couldn't see your grade? Do you not know your professor's name? Do you not tell me the context of your question? So the information, and then I get another email from the same person saying, "Oh, ma'am, sorry, I forgot to tell you that I started my my university late, so I don't know how to use, and I need more information from you on the LMS." So now I'm getting the context. So when you're writing emails, my dear students, you have to follow certain protocols, right? Just as when you interact people face to face, you need to smile, you need to be able to speak in a way that the other person can hear you. You need to be able to conduct yourself in a way that you look confident and you look well, right? Similarly, in emails, this is almost like your digital identity, right? So 4 things you need to remember. The first one is write the subject line. Use a clear, professional subject line. So example could be, if you're talking about a reporting tool, finance reporting tool. So on the subject line, you say, "Update finance reporting tool," right? Now, the second one is greetings. Make sure you're warm and you're polite. So you can say, "Dear Dr. Sharon," or "Good afternoon, team," or you can say, "Good morning, Miss Uzma," right? So those are things that you do right at the top of your emails. And you can say, "I hope you're well. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you're staying safe." Something polite, something warm, right? That shows your personal confidence, that shows your etiquette. Then you move on to the body of the email. And now you're basically writing what you're trying to do. So you're writing the intro, then you move on to the main point, and then you're basically saying what action you want me to do for you. And I'll show you an example. And then finally, you close your email and you say, "Thank you. Thank you for your time, or I greatly appreciate your support, or I look forward to meeting with you next week," right? So you close it. It's almost like a short essay that you have written. You start off with the introduction, then you move on to the main point, then you really talk about what is it that you want me to do, and then you basically thank me and close the email. Very similar to how you're going to have an interaction with someone else face to face, right? And if you have a long email, I mean, generally the recommendation is keep your email succinct, short, and something that people can quickly read. But even if it is, 2 paragraphs, just do break it down into logical portions so that it's easy for people to understand what you're saying, right? Keep the sentences short. Don't forget to use punctuation like a full stop or a comma or a, exclamation mark. Make sure your sentences are clear, they're concise, and they effectively express whatever message you are trying to convey. So let's look at an example, right? This is really a very nice example whereby you can actually see what an email may look like. So the subject line, update financial reporting project. Greetings. Dear Dr. Johnson, I hope you're doing well and you had a restful weekend. I've used the colors so that you can link back to different parts of the email. Then you move on to the main body of the email, introduction. Thank you for your email regarding the financial reporting project, right? So you're introducing what is it that you're going to talk about. Attached, please find the final version of the requirements gathering document for your review and approval. Some update from me is as follows. First, user interface design has been completed ahead of the schedule. Take the opportunity to brand yourself. Take the opportunity to talk about what you have done, right? Again, every interaction in the world of work is an opportunity for you to demonstrate your worth, right? And this is where emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, your personal confidence, all of that interplay. Then you're saying, review with key stakeholders is progressing. I encountered a few challenges related to managing their expectations, but it has all been resolved now. So again, you're presenting yourself in a way that people, whoever is receiving it, gets to know that you are working hard. You're overcoming challenges. You're working towards managing expectations. Then you're really telling them what you're going to be doing now, the next steps. I will start working on the reporting tool starting Monday, December, blah, blah, blah. Then the closing statement. I'll keep you posted with the progress on a weekly basis. Kindly review the attached document and let me know if I have your approval to proceed. With many thanks and warm regards, Joe Taylor. Right? You've given your complete name. You've thanked at the beginning. You've thanked at the end. You've said warm regards or kind regards or best regards. You're being courteous. You're being warm, presenting yourself well. Yet you're focusing on the key messaging, right? So it's very important, my dear students, to write emails in an effective way. Stay courteous and respectful at all times, right? This is what your mother taught you, right? Your father taught you to be respectful to others. Your parents taught you to be polite, to show gratitude. Say thank you. Say, I greatly appreciate your support. I'm so happy that I'm working with you on this because you've really guided. Show your gratitude. It's very effective in terms of building long-term relationships. Proofread every email you send, my dear students. Even if you proofread 2 to 3 times, you'll be surprised there would still be a typo here and there, hiding within what you've written. Write your email before you enter the recipient's email address, because sometimes in between something happens and the email goes to the recipient. So write the email first, make sure it's correct, then enter the name of the recipient in the email address. Double check that the name of the recipient is correct. Sometimes there are people with the same name. Maybe the last name may be different, maybe the middle name may be different. In the office environment, my dear students, this could be very, very sensitive because your email may contain a lot of information and it could be information that's confidential for your own team. You don't want to be sending it to the wrong people, right? So be very, very careful about checking your work, then adding the address of the person you're sending it to, and double checking that you are actually sending to the right person. You need to copy people as appropriate, but you don't have to reply all. Sometimes you get an email and you are replying to somebody and you don't need to copy everybody in there. So again, emotional intelligence, being aware of the context in which you're operating, being confident in yourself, and figuring out who all needs to be aware of this and who doesn't need to be aware of this, right? Reply to your emails promptly. In the world of work, the expectation is that you will reply within 1 to 2 business days, right? So sometimes within the same business day, reply to them. In case you need more time, acknowledge the receipt of the email and say, I'm going to action it in 3 days. Is that okay? So if you need more time, negotiate and say, thank you so much for your email. I'd be very happy to work on this project. I have some other pressing matters to handle. Is it okay if I get back to you in 3 days? Or could I get back to you at the beginning of next week? Is that okay with you? Many times people will actually say it is perfectly fine with them, right? Keep your layout simple Do not add too many colors or too many fonts or too large a size of the font or too small a size of the font as well. Stick to size 11 or 12. Use, fonts such as Times New Roman or Calibri. These are fonts that are easy to use. Use bullets like I use. You noticed I used bullets here. You can see it really conveyed my message very clearly. Courtesy and gentleness is vital in the world of work. Be aware of your tone. Sometimes you don't mean to be rude, but you have to remember that in the world of work, people don't know you. So how you interact with them is going to establish your identity. And that reputation is very important, especially in the digital world, because it's really how you're interacting with others that people will be able to, connect with you. And remember to sprinkle some sugar to your email so that the receiver does not misunderstand your emotions, right? And what does that mean? It really means that, you're saying, thank you for your email, or best regards, or it is indeed a pleasure to have met you in the elevator yesterday, or it was really nice bumping into you in the corridor, at the coffee table, etc. So that's like sprinkling your sugar. So Shulamite has a wonderful question. She says, is hi, Dr. Sharon polite? Yes, my dear, you said Dr. Sharon, it is quite polite. You can even say, dear Dr. Sharon, good morning. So that's really extra polite. But it really depends on the environment and the relationship that you have. Again, your emotional intelligence. You may be operating in an organization which is less formal. And if it is less formal, hi, Dr. Sharon is actually very appropriate. But if you are in a formal organization, especially if you're working for government institutions, then hi, Dr. Sharon, and let's say Dr. Sharon is a CEO, then it becomes a bit informal. So gauge how you're going to greet people. You can always ask this upfront on the first day during the orientation. What is the method by which people, greet each other or address each other, right? So these are things you can always ask your manager to guide you. Right, my dear? Any other questions at this stage? Yeah, so far so good? Okay. At this point, what I want to do is to take you to another scenario. And again, we may not discuss it, but just something that you need to be aware of. You've booked a 15 minutes appointment with your manager's boss to understand the future direction of the organization, to understand his leadership style and network with him. Your manager is not too happy about it. What will you say to him and do next? Right? And these are real scenarios. I have experienced this in my interactions with others. I know some students who have experienced it. So if you're operating in a flexible organization, you can always say to your boss, let's say the boss comes and says to you, I didn't like the way you set up an appointment with my boss. It'll be nice that you don't do that in future. You can always say, thank you for your feedback. I was actually intending to meet with your boss to make sure that I understand the vision of the organization and I could align my objectives in line with the organizational objectives. So you're clarifying your intention. And then you can say, I would greatly appreciate if I get some more flexibility at work. I really want to work in this organization and I really want to continue to understand the opportunities and challenges that the organization has faced so I can contribute towards its success. And just by having the flexibility, I will be able to deepen my understanding about that organization, right? So something like that, if the organization is flexible. Let's say the organization is not flexible. You can say, thank you for your feedback. Going forward, I will do less of it. However, I would greatly appreciate if I get some flexibility so I can develop my network, gain new perspective, build new relationships, talk about my work with my colleagues, learn about other people's work. And I really hope this is fine with you, right? So you're backing off a little bit, but you're not completely giving up, right? Because at the end of the day, you are in the world of work to really demonstrate your worth. 20 years from now, you're going to take pride about the work that you did, not about the work that you didn't do, right? So people need to understand that you are actually making a lot of sacrifices, and your parents and your loved ones have made a lot of sacrifices for you to be successful in the world of work, right? So you really need to safeguard your interest. That's why I feel it's very important to be able to set healthy boundaries. And again, setting healthy boundaries is all about knowing yourself and applying your worthiness, that sense of worth, confidence in you, into the work environment. So for example, if you are an extrovert, you need to be able to set boundaries to assess if you are spending too much time with others. Extroverts are people who are very socially, driven. These are people who love talking to others. So you really need to go back and think about, am I spending too much time socializing at work? And if I'm doing that, who am I socializing with? Am I spending too much time with others? I need to perhaps focus more on my own work. But because I'm an extrovert, I'm naturally pulled to talk to people, to socialize, to interact with people. Similarly, if you are an empathetic person, and this is really, I've been a very empathetic person at work, and sometimes it went against me. So I needed to really set boundaries to assess, am I taking too much of myself? Am I, is it becoming hard for me to say no? Am I solving other people's problems a lot of the time? So you really need to know yourself to be able to figure out how best to conduct yourself so that you are effective, right? And emotions, be aware of your emotions, be aware of the feelings, be aware of the personality that you bring with you at work every single day. If you come home and you feel very tired, ask yourself, what is contributing to that feeling? What can you do differently? How can you continue to maintain focus on your goals? Your goals are skill development. Your goals are on job search. Your goals are on networking. Your goals are on developing meaningful work. There's so many goals that you have as a professional. Make sure you're focusing on them, right? So self-awareness, my dear students, is very, very critical. Practice the art of saying no in the most courteous way. And you can do that when you're self-aware, when you're focused, and when you are confident about yourself, right? And sometimes, you have to set healthy boundaries by getting to know others. You may be, working with people who have a tendency to pass work to you, right? So when you get work from, let's say, your boss or individuals who have a tendency to give a lot of work, ask them, when do they want the work to be done? And politely negotiate if that expectation that they are imposing on you is actually creating a lot of stress on you. Please, my dear students, communicate honestly. Be courteous, be very respectful, but that doesn't mean that you don't express yourself. Again, you bring your authentic self to work. Make sure every single day of the year, you're becoming more of who you are, because you're here, you're unique, you are the one who's going to make it or break it in your life, right? So it's a big deal for you. It's a big deal for you to be successful, to be the best version of yourself. And I always say in the world of work, the mantra is undercommit and overdeliver. If you can do something in one day, ask them, is it okay if I can get back to you in 2 days? So that you have 1 day to finish it. And if you've done it, you can send it to them early on. But you don't want to be in a situation where you said, I'm going to send it to you today, but you actually end up sending it tomorrow or day after, right? So manage expectations. Then, how do you conduct yourself in the world of work in a way that you're effective in team settings? When you're operating with people in team settings, always have a positive intent, right? You do want to make sure that people see you in a positive light and you're able to see others in a positive light as well. Communicate regularly. If you're working in a combined project, then you've done your part, write an email, make the time to write an email and say, I've done this. What is it? When are we meeting? If you don't know. Or here is a draft that I've created. Let's talk more about it when we are meeting on Wednesday, right? Keep your group members informed. In case there's a delay for any reason, let them know as early as possible, right? Then in the team setting, you need to be able to lift each other. You need to be able to maintain high morale. It's like, when you are on the field playing volleyball, for example, even if somebody makes a mistake, you don't say, man, you made that mistake. You always try to pat their back and say, good job, let's continue to do well, right? That's the kind of emotions you need to bring in a team setting. Make sure that you're lifting others and you remain accountable to your contribution. When you are not sure, stand up and ask. If you have too much on your plate, stand up and ask for help. There's absolutely no problem. That's why we want you to have good relationships at work so that you feel comfortable talking to people for clarification, for being able to say, I need some help. Can you please guide me? Can you please advise me? And finally, treat people with respect, irrespective of how difficult or charged the situation may be. You need to be respectful, my dear students. Right. When you are in meetings, make sure you clarify your role. Are you there to contribute on a project, or you're there as an observer? In most cases, when you're doing full-time work, you're there to contribute. But sometimes when you're doing internships, there is a likelihood that you will be there and you would basically be observing the whole group. Right? So do ask. There's no problem in checking with your boss before you go for the meeting. If you are there to contribute, even if you are there to observe, make the time to prepare for the meeting well in advance. Every interaction is a big deal in the world of work. Make sure you go in with a pen and a writing pad. Make sure if there are documents that are being discussed, you print them, you skim through them before you're actually in the meeting. And you do think about a few good questions, right? Keep your supervisor on board with your work and your contribution in the meeting, after the meeting, and maybe in the corridor as well. Keep them up to date with what you are up to, right? Then how you're conducting yourself in the world of work, the interactions. You may see somebody at the coffee table. Go and greet that person, especially when you're new in the organization. Take the initiative to meet and greet a lot of people. Seek opportunities so that many people at work know you. And hopefully in that process, you'll get to know them as well. So it's a win-win. Strive to form good impressions about your personality, your attitudes, or the quality of your work. Seek opportunities to work on projects that are, that involve teams from multi-functions, from people who are not necessarily part of your own department, interdisciplinary, interdepartmental projects. And do it in a way that you are nurturing trust in your interactions with them, right? Which means if you say that I'm going to do this, go back and do it, right? And again, do not under-deliver and overcommit. Make sure every single day when you're going to work, make sure you sleep well, you have a good breakfast, and you're dressed up well. Plan what you're going to wear for the next 5 days on the weekend. I used to keep my 5 days clothes ironed and hanged on the weekend so that once it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I know what I'm going to wear. And feel happy in your skin. Whatever you have, feel confident in your own skin. This will really help you carry yourself well. This will keep you emotionally resilient. This will keep you emotionally strong, right? And the other thing that I always say when you're interacting in the world of work, freshen up after lunch break. Sometimes you can get very busy, but still make 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes, go to the washroom, freshen up, use perfume every now and then so that you're in a pleasant environment. Sometimes some people are sensitive or allergic to perfumes, so you can always ask people, if you're sitting in an open space, ask them if it is okay that you wear a strong perfume, or you wear a perfume a couple of times during the day, right? So again, courtesies are very important. Then you need to continue to develop strong relationships at work, my dear students. Again, emotional intelligence plays a big part. Respect your commitment, keep your promises, develop relationships based on your strengths. Your worth, your worthiness is based a lot on what you bring to the table, right? Meet as many people as you can. As you talk to them, let them know what you're working on, find out what they are working on, stay in touch with them, even after you've left or completed an internship or you've completed a project, stay in touch with them. Look for mentors and career advisors within the organization. You'll be surprised for how long we continue to stay in touch with each other, right? Your internship or the job opportunity is not just an opportunity to do good work. It is also an opportunity to develop your network and foster very strong relationships, right? And this is really all part of your professional brand, my dear students. The reputation that you are cultivating every single day. My recommendation to you all is that out of 100% of the day, 70% of the time you should be focusing on high quality work, and 30% of the time you should be focusing on branding, building relationships, and networking, right? Take initiatives, find out about work that may be outside of your normal day-to-day responsibility. Let's say there's a potluck that's being organized. Say, can I contribute? Can I get the list ready? Let's say they're planning to work on a project. Say, can I take the meeting notes? Take the initiative, but don't put too many responsibilities on your plate whereby you may under-deliver. Don't get into that. But if you have the room for it, continue to take initiatives. Meet people on other teams, continue to focus on your personal improvement and your professional development, and always seek opportunities to gain feedback from others. Ask them, what can I do to perform better? Conflicts are very much a part of the world of work. You do interact with people who are difficult minded students. In times of conflict, remain courteous and respectful, right? The other person may interact with you in a way which is inappropriate, but that doesn't mean that you also respond to him or her in the same way. It's a tough one, but at the same time, you represent yourself and he or she represents himself and his upbringing, right? Maintain healthy distance at work, especially with difficult people. And healthy distance means you don't start talking about your personal problems. Keep them with you. At work, stay very focused on your goals and in your interactions with others. Manage your emotions. If you are unhappy a particular day, it's not necessary that you show it. You still keep a brave face. You still interact with people in the best possible way, right? But at the same time, remain authentic and remain honest. If you have to give feedback to your boss or others, do that. Find a way. Be emotionally intelligent to be able to do it in a way that it is not harmful for you. But continue to make the effort to build solid relationship with others, especially the seniors, especially the CEO. It's very important that somebody other than your boss knows you very well. Because in case there's a situation whereby there is a conflict, my dear students, you are able to escalate it to the senior person in the organization, right? So managing conflict, my dear students, is a key part of being successful. Before I end the session, my dear students, I want you to take away 3 key things. The first one, develop strong relationships at work, handle situations at work with high emotional intelligence, with grit and lots of self-confidence. No matter what you do and how well you conduct yourself, you will still make mistakes. You will still encounter situations which are difficult to handle. Be brave, be courageous, be confident. And finally, surround yourself with good people. I cannot emphasize this more. Find a way to be able to distinguish between good people and not so good people. Remember, 80% of the people in the world of work are good, but there are the 20% of the people who are not so good, right? So you just have to recognize that when you're looking for internships, when you're looking for jobs, as they are shortlisting you, you're also trying to figure out if this is a good group of people to work with. Any questions, my dear students?
Hello.
Hi, my dear. Hi, Rose. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I wanted to ask, I have a couple of questions here.
Yes.
Is in the salutation, for example, is it okay to say dear Mr. or Dr. Uzma? Because I've heard that with the salutations, you're supposed to say dear, for example, dear Uzma, but not the including, you're not, it's like you're not supposed to include the titles.
You know,
with the, yes.
That's a very good question, Rose. Normally, people who have a doctorate, it is a safe practice to say doctor to them. Because I've had situations where somebody did not say Dr. Helen, and because she had a doctorate and she had a PhD, she was a bit offended. So if you know this person has a PhD, do say, dear Dr. Helen. If you're not sure, then you can always say, dear Miss Helen or dear Helen. And then in the email, you can say, I'm not sure if you have a doctorate. If you do, kindly let me know so that next time around, I can greet you appropriately. Again, don't hesitate to ask questions, clarify. This is really part of high emotional intelligence and personal confidence. Yeah?
Yeah, I get it now.
Great. What else?
The second I wanted to ask, is it okay to say kindly please find attached, or once you use the word kindly find attached, you are not supposed to use please? It's like a repetition or something?
Correct. You're right. So if you're using the word kindly, you don't need to use please. Kindly find attached documents for your review. Or please find attached documents for your approval. So choose one of the two. Kindly and please mean the same thing. Okay. But in case you've ever said, kindly please find attached, it's not a big mistake. It's
Okay.
much better than saying attached are the documents for your review, right? So being courteous or being over courteous, I think, is better than being less courteous. But the right way is to use either kindly or please.
I get it. Then there's one was when you're done and you're writing kind regards or regards, is it okay to include your full name, like kind regards Rosabella or something, or kind regards Rosabella? One name is okay. Is one name okay or both the two?
It's a good idea to include your full name. So you can say Rosabella, because it looks formal and it looks professional. But if you say kind regards Rose, that's not wrong also.
Okay.
So I would say use your full name.
Okay, Rosabella is my full name. For example, if I were to say kind
Rosabella.
regards Rosabella, because that is one word. Okay, one
Yeah.
word, Rosabella.
Rosabella Vesonga,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say you can use Rosabella or Senga. But if you want, you can also use Rosabella. So it's very flexible. It's really up to kind regards, best regards, warm regards, all of those. You can use your full name or your first name. It's fine. Maybe you can use your full name for the first time, and then next time you can use your first name. Great questions, Rosabella.
Great. And the second last was this: how do you say no in a work organization without offending someone? I mean, if you're used to saying yes and every time and again,
Yeah, that's such
how
a
do you say
wonderful
no? Yeah.
I know, it's very hard. I still struggle with it. So that's a very good question. But I would say, Rosabella, saying no is critical. There's a cost for saying yes in situations when you must say no. So let's say your manager comes to you and says, Rosabella, I would like you to start working on this project, right? So you don't want to work on that project, right? That's why you have to say no. So one thing is that you negotiate with him and you say, is it okay if I can continue to work on this project and not on this project because I really love what I'm doing? Or you can say, is it okay if I not do this project because I really don't like this field? You can be honest. So you're not saying, no, I'm not going to work on it. But you're really finding a way by which you're basically saying, I don't want to work on this and I want to work on this, right? Again, your self-confidence, your good relationships at work plays a big deal. But my dear Rosabella, I cannot emphasize the value of being able to say no. You know, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple,
Yeah.
he said, at Apple, we take tremendous pride in saying no. And he says for 90% of the opportunities that come to us, we say no, because we are so laser focused on our goals. I don't mean to say that you should be doing the same. I mean, they're very different. Apple was very different. But what I'm trying to say to you is you need to master the art of being able to say no. And it is tough. It's not easy, my dear, but you don't have a choice. You have to learn that art. Again, when you do it with courtesy, when you do it with honesty, it becomes much easier.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, my dear. Thank you very much, everybody. Anybody else has any more questions? If not, my dear students, thank you so much for coming today. It was a pleasure talking to you all regarding emotional intelligence, a topic that's very dear to my heart. Feel free to send me an email if you have any question that I haven't been able to address and it came to you after our meeting is over today. Feel free to set up an appointment with me for any support you may need. When you're looking for a job or looking for an internship, or you want my help in updating your CV or working on your CV, or to provide you any guidance related to emotional intelligence or not related to emotional intelligence, I'm there for you, my dear students. My very best wishes to you for your exams. It's really a busy time, so thank you so much for making the time for our session today. And I hope that you are able to take away some key messages that I really want you to reflect on and apply in the work. Have a very good night, everyone. Take good care of yourself. Stay happy, stay focused, and stay safe. Good night, and talk to
Thank
you
you
all.
so much. Good night.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too, my dear. Bye-bye, everybody.